What's going on, car family? I'm Ben Wayne. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today, we are here at Atlanta Classic Cars to finally take a look at the brand new Mercedes-AMG G63. Now, last year in November, we took a look at the 2019 Mercedes-Benz G550 when it first came out, and that video is full of plenty of detail. So if you haven't seen that video already, I strongly encourage you to check it out. But today, we're gonna focus on the exterior and interior details of this Mercedes-AMG G63 and see how this ride has been engineered for excellence. But first, I wanna mention, if you find yourself interested in this vehicle as we review it, please be sure to reach out to my friend Jesse Cannon-Wallace here at Atlanta Classic Cars. Let's go ahead and get to it. So let's start out with the obvious. Spec-wise, this car has been murdered out. The color of this car is called black. That's right, just black. There's no fancy name. Your interior is black Napa leather, and then your wood trim is black ash wood. It looks really nice. And this person also decided to spec it out with black wheels, obviously, and it just really gives this G-Wagon a menacing look. So before we get into some of the exterior characteristics, one thing I want to make mention of is that my favorite feature of the new G-Class is the fact that Mercedes-Benz knew what they needed to change, but they also knew what they didn't need to change. So all the fan favorites are still incorporated in this car, but as far as improvements, you get improvements in technology, comfortability. The interior has been completely redone. The interior now matches the price point of this vehicle, which is something that couldn't really be said about the previous generation. So everything that you wanted improved over the last G-Wagon has been improved upon. But characteristics from the old G-Wagon that you loved, such as this click when opening and closing the door, stuff like that, Mercedes-Benz has made sure to keep in this new car, and that is what I love. They focused on keeping what was needed and improved what was needed as well. So let's go ahead and make our way to the front of the vehicle. One of the design aspects of the new G-Wagon that you'll notice that you might miss from afar is that when you step up close to this car, you'll notice that the sharp edges from the previous generation are gone, and they've been rounded off on all the body surfaces. And it makes quite a drastic difference. I really like the way it looks, but it also maintains that classic G-Wagon appearance. Now up front, you'll notice you get these LED cat eyes. They look really nice. And of course, this is an AMG model, so you're getting a Panamericana grille. Now, what's a major difference between the G550 and the current G63? You'll notice that the bull bar on the G63 sits lower. On the G550 model, it sits higher around the headlamp cluster, and I kind of like it lower here. And of course, on this one, it's been blacked out as well, and it sits in front of all your ventilation for your intercoolers, giving it a really aggressive stance from the front. You'll also notice you get AMG body sculpting that flows into these wheel arches as well. Taking a look at the side profile, a design cue that completely irked me on the previous generation was the fact that there is a huge amber reflector block just planted on the car's bodywork. Thank God that is now gone. They have now integrated it seamlessly into the car's lines, and it really just looks a lot better. Now overall, lengthwise, the new G-Wagon is 2.1 inches longer than the previous generation it replaces. Now your wheelbase has been extended by 1.6 inches, and the car is also over 4 inches wider than the previous generation. So that's going to translate into better handling and also more space in the car's interior. We'll get to that a little bit later. Now you'll also notice, again, this car features 22-inch AMG matte black cross-spoke wheels shot in Pirelli P0s that are 295 all around. Now up front, your brake rotors are 14.8 inches in diameter. That is huge, and they're grasped by 6 piston calipers. Now the owner of this particular car decided to have the calipers finished in red, but you can also opt for silver as well. Now coming towards the rear, your brake rotors are 13 inches in diameter and grasped by a single piston sliding caliper. Now another thing about the side profile that you will also notice is that you have your AMG exhaust tips on either side. We'll get to hear how that exhaust system sounds a little bit later in the review. Focusing a little bit more on handling characteristics, I want to point out the fact that this new G-Wagon weighs nearly 400 pounds less than the generation it replaces, specifically about 375 pounds, and that's thanks to the extensive use of aluminum in the car's body structure. Now taking it a step further, remember we said this car is longer and wider than the outgoing generation, so that's going to give you a larger footprint on the road. Now most importantly, Mercedes has incorporated an independent front suspension on this vehicle. So you're still getting those off-road characteristics that the G-Wagon is known for, but most importantly, since nobody ever takes this car off-road anyway, it handles better on the road as well. So that's a drastic improvement when compared to the previous generation. Now don't worry, you're still getting those off-road capabilities this car is known for. You still have a front, center, and rear locking differential if you need it. Focusing on the rear, you'll notice you get revised LED tail lamps, and of course the traditional spare tire is still placed here, finished in the car's body color. I've always loved that characteristic about the G-Wagons. Of course you get plenty of storage. Those of you who know this car already know this, but I'll show it to you anyway. And when you close the door, you get that rewarding clank that this car is known to have. Underneath the hood of the G63, you're gonna find an AMG handcrafted 4-liter bi-turbo V8, putting out 577 horsepower and 627 pound-foot of torque. Now, of course, this engine is configured in what Mercedes-Benz refers to as the hot inside V configuration, meaning that the turbos have been placed in the valley of the V. That results in a more efficient and compact design. Also, reduced turbo lag, since the compressed charge from the turbo has a short distance to travel from the turbo to the cylinder banks. Now, this engine is connected to an AMG Speed Shift 9-speed automatic transmission. 0 to 60 for this huge, massive SUV, it's just 4.5 seconds. For increased efficiency, because that's what you're worried about if you drive a car this large and powerful, this engine features Camtronic with AMG cylinder management. So it's able to deactivate cylinders 2, 3, 5, and 8 under low load conditions for increased efficiency. So let's go ahead and hear how that exhaust system sounds.
What's going on, car family?
Wait, we already started the video. Anyways, so I figured we'd get on the road and talk about the interior. That way we can cover the interior details and also talk about how the car feels. As you can see, Isha's a little anxious and ready to get started on it. So Isha, what are your impressions then?
I love the G-Wagon. I always have. You know, I feel like it's a retro version of a military tank car.
That's exactly what this is.
Okay.
This car used to be used for military service, and somehow between several decades and now it became a status symbol. That's what this is. I
would drive it. It rides very smoothly. Now, I must admit, I did get in a earlier model, and that one was much more bulky.
It was bulkier.
It was huge. It was almost just like a box on wheels, you know?
I think it's still a box on wheels, but somehow they made it easier on the eye. There has been some minor refinements when it comes to the exterior, but overall it's still a G-Wagon.
It almost feels a little bit smaller, but I think you said that it's actually
bigger on the interior.
Yeah, which is very odd, because it actually feels more, I don't want to say confined, but it like maybe drivable or something, you know?
Yeah. And it handles, just off the bat, I can tell it handles light years better than the previous version it replaces. Like I said, the front suspension is just completely new, and that's something you can definitely feel while driving this vehicle. In the previous generation, anytime you took a turn, you felt like you could tip over.
Take a turn.
And this car, you can drive with a bit more confidence.
Oh my gosh, the side bolstering. It literally it's pushing me.
It's keeping you planted in the center. So as we turn,
this is so not the first time I felt this technology, but whenever I feel it, it's so awesome.
Amazing. It's amazing. I'm amazed at how smooth this is.
Let's see if it's gonna do it on this side.
When we take this turn, when this light turns green, it'll do it.
Okay. By the way, it gave me a hug.
The seatbelt tensioners, you always mention that. So let's talk about the interior characteristics a bit. So it's just wrapped in this smooth black Napa leather, and I think it's nice. It smells good. I wish you guys could smell this. It feels good. The seats are exceptional. I think they did an amazing job when compared to the previous generation. It felt like you were sitting on a bench, but in this, it feels like an S-Class almost.
Yeah.
All right, so we're taking a turn.
Here we go. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
So in this, it feels like you're sitting in an S-Class. It's really a smooth ride. The seats are extremely comfortable. I can't believe how much of a night and day difference it is between the previous generation and this. They've done an excellent job, really an excellent job.
And just being honest with you, I don't typically like black on black, but it looks good for this vehicle.
Oh yeah, this car is murdered out. Triple black, black ashwood trim, black Napa leather, black exterior.
It's very masculine, I must admit, but however, it looks good.
It looks good.
Got your Alcantara.
Oh, look at you, Alcantara. Yeah, that's right. Or Mercedes-Benz refers to it as Dynamica. Same thing.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
But you know what would look good in here too? I don't see it anywhere because it's an AMG. I feel like there should have been a touch of carbon fiber.
Well, true, but to that I say this. This is a heavy vehicle. I get carbon fiber looks nice as trim, but remember, the original use of carbon fiber in cars was for lightweight. Trim became like the cool thing to do. So I could argue that carbon fiber probably wouldn't be appropriate in this car. It would look nice, but
I don't care about being appropriate. I just think it looks nice. There we go.
So you would have went with the carbon fiber trim instead of this black ashwood.
I would have.
Okay. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned how Mercedes-Benz addressed some of the vehicle's needs. Like, this car needed some tech. If you look at the previous generation, and in this generation, they've done that. You're getting those dual 12.3-inch displays.
Yep, which I have grown to like.
I love these.
I love this. Just like in the previous vehicle we did, I loved it. And going into another model of a Mercedes that didn't have it, I immediately wanted it.
Yep.
It's something that needs to be in all of them.
It needs to be in all of them. And I love the way you can hear that AMG handcrafted 4-liter V8
Here we go.
in this car. So let's talk about some performance, because this car does have hold on to your butt status.
So,
wait,
look, it gave me a
you got a grab bar.
All right.
So I'm going to go into AMG Dynamic Select. Oh, we're in sport. You heard it drop a gear.
Oh my
goodness. Oh my goodness. This car gets
Give me
up
another one. Wait. Can I get one more?
One more.
Hold on
to your butts.
But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm amazed at the power of this thing, how it just gets up and goes.
Wait.
That's insane.
Not only is it giving us power, but it's still keeping me centered.
Right. So I'm gonna switch it back into
why? Do we have to do that?
I'm gonna go back into comfort. I don't know if I'm ready for all of that.
I'm ready.
So I love how this car can just switch characteristics like that. Now we're just cruising, but as soon as we dropped it into sport mode, you heard that exhaust just open up, and just the drama that this car provided us was insane. That's insane.
It literally said, "Hold on to your butts."
For something this big to go that fast is impressive. And when I put my foot on those brakes, I felt it clamp down, and I felt confident.
It wasn't like a jerking.
Right, but at the same time, you had confidence in the brakes, and you knew it was going to bring you to a stop if you wanted, which is awesome. That was incredible. I was not ready for that.
No.
So the seats, you have massaging features, you have heated and cooled features. Let's go into that. So I'll just use this command system in the center here. Isha will experiment with your side.
Thank you.
That way I can concentrate. So we'll go into vehicle. Let's go up to seats. And let's see what options we have. We have massage options.
Yeah.
All this stuff is just crazy that it's in the G-Class. Which one you want? You got high intensity, hot relaxing back, hot relaxing shoulder.
Give me the shoulder.
Get the shoulder. Okay.
Let's see if it gets in there.
All right, so let's give it some time to start working on you there. But it's awesome how you just have those features. So let me go back out. Start it on you.
Yeah.
You also have other features. You got your dynamic select. So again, comfort, sport plus. We just ran through that for you. You have your assistance packages. So you have traffic sign assist, options for your camera and parking, active brake assist, attention assist, lane keeping assist, blind spot assist. This car now has all those features that you see in some of the E-classes and S-classes. And to say that for a G-Wagon a few years ago was completely unheard of. Usually this car just stays several years behind the S-Class, but right now it's pretty close to having all the features that you want.
It's working. It's
How's that seat
up.
going?
Are you able to change the intensity?
Yeah, you could probably change the intensity. We're not going to do that right now because I still need you with me here in this video. So I'm amazed at the power output, but what's amazing to me is how smooth this car rides.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a truck, but it does not feel like one.
It's so aggressive, and you would think of this as more like a off-roading vehicle. It's actually very, very smooth, luxurious, and an overall comfortable ride.
It really is.
You know, it's not. It like I said, it looks like it's for off-roading, but they have done a great job with implementing both of them.
Right, right. Oh, it is for off-roading for sure. You could take this car off-roading. Nobody who buys it ever does it. Like I said, this is a status symbol.
Right.
I mean, usually, you know the demographic you see driving this car.
Now, I have a question.
What's the question?
You already know where I'm going. This can go off-roading, so can the Bentayga. That would be an awesome, like, comparison.
Well, we did go off-roading in the Bentayga before, but I would say the G-Wagon is on a completely different level of capability.
Because it was built for
that.
The
Bentayga does not have military roots. Do you notice how much headspace you have?
Yes.
Do you know why that is?
No.
Military soldiers were able to sit in this car with their helmets and gear on. So you got all this headroom.
But I don't need it.
You don't need it, but it's a cool fact, right?
Right.
That's what I'm just saying. The Bentayga is completely different. I'm not even sure it belongs in the conversation of comparing to the G-Wagon because this car just has so much capability. Granted, the same demographic is probably driving each vehicle, but as far as capability, you'd be hard-pressed to find something.
So that means you can just have the G-Wagon and I'll take the Bentayga. Because you're saying the Bentayga might be on like a level for me.
Yeah, you can take the Bentayga. I love this G-Wagon.
That's fine. I want the G-Wagon, but I can let you have it and I'll stick with my Bentayga.
So when we were at the stoplight, you might have noticed that the engine cut off for fuel efficiency. So this car does have all the eco modes and stuff like that. You even got cylinder deactivation. I really don't think the buyer of this car or any buyer who's looking at this is worried about fuel efficiency, being essentially that this is a brick. Now, we did talk about some of the aerodynamics in our previous video of the G550. I strongly encourage you to check that out because there's a lot of details that we covered in that video, such as weighting depth and ground clearance, and talking about off-road capability as far as it being able to go over 100% slope. So we talked a lot about that in that video. Be sure to check that out. Here we're just cruising and getting a feel for it, and this car just feels amazing. I can't stress that enough. Now the rear seats, I mentioned that the car is longer than the previous generation. If you remember the previous generation, or if you experienced that at all, that car was quite cramped, especially when getting into the back. Here, you have a little bit more leg room, and it just feels just as luxurious as up front. Isha, you sat back there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was very, very comfortable. I had enough leg room. It was very spacious. It wasn't anything that I didn't feel cramped. You know, the bench seating actually felt pretty good.
Felt decent.
Yeah. Sometimes with bench seating,
it's terrible. Sometimes it's terrible, but in this car,
I feel like they did a great job with the seating, and it's very plush back there.
Right.
Too. These seats are mimicked back there, so your passengers are getting the same. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah. The stitching in these front seats is nice, and it carries on to the rear as well. I'm just amazed at this. The steering wheel feels really nice in my hands. It gives me a nice sense of control. It has that steampunk design. This is the AMG Performance steering wheel with the flat bottom. You get the thick shift paddles behind the steering wheel as well. And overall, it's just lovely. You get the digital display giving you tons of information, especially since this is an AMG model, all at your fingertips. So it's just very easy to use. So let me go back. I love having the navigation screen up here, even though I don't need it since we live around this area. But it's just cool to look at. I think it's just how sharp it is. Like back in the day when you had screens like this.
Turn this, it'll like zoom out or zoom in.
Yep.
Give you a larger radius of what's around.
Exactly.
See, zoom in.
Like, I mean, that's pretty neat.
I mean, to the point, it's telling you where gas stations are. I wonder if it tells me where there's a Starbucks.
Why we bring up Starbucks in every video? All right. So anyways, you have your 3 differential locks here that we mentioned while we were reviewing the car outside. Of course, you don't want to use that when you're not off-roading. You have these nice air conditioning vents.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love the turbine style there. That's really neat. Reminds me of a plane. And then, of course, the black ashwood trim. You get 2 cup holders, which is something that we didn't get in the previous generation of the G-Class.
Well, they had like this little
the basketball hoop thing?
Yeah, which was really odd. That like bumped into your leg.
Yeah, but in 2019 and 2020, we off that.
Okay, it was a basketball hoop.
And of course, you got the dynamic select button here, which we mentioned. Different controls, so you can drive in manual mode and adjust your suspension settings, your volume control. So everything is really easy to use in this vehicle.
I'm so relaxed.
It is relaxing.
No, I mean, yes, the ride and, my hot shoulder massage.
Now, coming over to the door panels, you do get controls for all 4 windows and side view mirrors, which are powered, as expected of a car of this caliber. Now, you also do have some diamond stitching and then controls for your seats. Again, 3 levels of heating and cooling. I'm gonna drop on the cooling because it's hot. I wish I turned that on earlier. And of course, some storage on the bottom. Now, your doors in the back do look similar to this. Oh, that cooling, you feel that immediately. That's nice.
I can feel the cooling coming from your side a little bit.
All right, so
I want to make mention of that Mercedes does a great job, and I know other luxury vehicles do this as well, but they do a great job with putting the same type of instrument cluster for the seating on the passenger side. And I know that anyone can attest to this, that you'll only be on the driver's side and the passenger has to fiddle with the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's...
Well, of course you're getting power to everything.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I'm just saying they do a good job, like, by implementing that.
Yeah.
I know it's not something that's...
There's some cars that don't have it, and it just makes the passenger feel like a peasant.
Yes.
Right? That's what you're saying,
yes,
essentially.
Correct.
I love the growl of the exhaust system. Let me just drop it one more time. One more time.
Right.
So we're dropping it in Sport Plus mode.
We dropping it.
Man, this car just goes. I love the brakes.
I'm trying to see the person behind us. If they were like,
they're probably like, what is going on? How is that huge SUV moving like that?
You see the car in front of us? He's trying to move. You see that?
This 9-speed transmission is just so responsive. As soon as I hit the downshift button, it just goes. All right, one more quick pull and then we'll wrap this up. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. All right, so I'll go back into comfort mode using the AMG Dynamic Select. You can hear that the car got quieter, but that's awesome. Overall, that is a review of the new Mercedes-AMG G63. This car is awesome. I'm in love with it. The paint colors that are available for this car are amazing. It used to be only a few colors, but what's this guy doing?
I don't know. Gonna walk out into the G-Wagon, I guess.
It used to be only a few colors, but now it's just a wide array of colors, and this car is just lovely. So
I'll take it in red.
It is available in red. You love those red colors. So, any closing thoughts, Isha?
I'm content with it. I'm very happy with what they've done. And you know, I probably wouldn't need the AMG version, but this is very nice. It's not overdone, you know?
Right. Before I drove this, I would say I wouldn't need the AMG version, but now that I've driven it and heard that exhaust,
you can have it.
I've got to have it.
You can have it.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're interested in this vehicle, please reach out to my friend Jesse Cannon-Wallace at Atlanta Classic Cars. Just what an amazing experience. I don't know what else to say.
Make sure to like, share, subscribe,
yeah, like,
and
share,
hit that
subscribe.
bell.
Hit that notification bell so you know whenever we release new content. Gosh, this is amazing. This is amazing. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
See ya.
All right. Let me just drop it one more time.
Don't drop it.
Sport Plus mode. This is crazy. Oh my goodness.
Did they put this bar here for me?
Yeah, they put it there just for you. All right, I'm back in cover mode. I'm done. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday morning, huh?